Well, President Biden convening 40 world leaders in a virtual summit intended to demonstrate renewed American resolve to fight climate change. Bloomberg's climate policy reporter, Jennifer Delowy, has been following it all and joins me now from Washington, D.C. to discuss. Hey, Jennifer, it's always great to have you on the show. What are your sources saying about Biden's climate pledge? Is it ambitious enough to make the U.S. the leader when it comes to environmental policy, especially with where we were during the Trump administration?
Well, many other nations would say it's only a start. The U.S. pledge is significantly more ambitious than what President Obama set out 6 years ago, and it goes a long way for other countries to restoring some credibility after the last 4 years under Trump, as you noted. The U.S. pledge, it's important to note, it's also in keeping with what many large environmental groups had argued was both achievable and ambitious for the U.S., but and this is important, it's less ambitious than promises made by the UK and the European Union. It's also unlikely to be sufficient to keep average global temperature rise to below 1.5 degrees Celsius, which is a key tipping point.
So it's getting there, but not even close to enough. Jen, I want to talk a little bit about what Congressman Garamendi told me earlier in the show. I spoke to him, Democrat of Northern California, an area of the country that has been hard hit by climate change. He told us that there's not one Republican who sees eye to eye when it comes to climate policy. How does anything get done if that's the case?
Well, so that is one of the big challenges facing the president, and he's working to win over Republicans right now on his infrastructure package, which is, loaded with items designed to buttress the U.S. climate pledge. The challenge that he's facing is big, and he's trying to solve it by building broad American support for his climate agenda, by illustrating that, this is about creating jobs and revving up a clean energy economy. If he can get broader buy-in from Americans, that may be key to winning some Republican support. There's also growing business support and interest from some Republican lawmakers for setting a carbon tax, for doing some kind of price around carbon dioxide. That might be something he can get through Congress that has more support than a clean energy standard, something that mandates clean electricity.
Yeah, talk about more about those incentives and what Biden could actually do, because the government can only do so much, right? So much of this has to come from businesses, because these are the companies that are making a lot of the decisions that impact our climate. And we only have about a minute left, Jen.
Sure. Well, we saw under President Trump how tenuous U.S. pledges of regulatory action on climate can be. And so what Biden is trying to do here is anchor as much of this as possible in new laws and in, as you noted, corporate action, in action by states and local governments. That's key to avoiding the kind of fate we saw with U.S. policies under Trump, because, of course, federal regulations can be changed by a new occupant of the White House. So what we heard from the president today was a real lean on the actions of state and local governments. A big theme of the president's address today was that the U.S. climate commitment can be counted on because it goes beyond the federal government and it goes into state houses and corporate boardrooms alike.
Bloomberg climate policy reporter Jennifer Delowy. Jennifer, it's always great to have you on the show. Thanks so much for taking the time and for joining us on this special edition of Quick Take on Earth Day.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.